Thank you for showing up, and we'll get started here shortly. Thanks. Good afternoon, everyone, again. So I just wanted to again welcome you to the workshop. I guess we'll go ahead and get started. Just for time's sake, this will be recorded, so just wanted to let you know. And if you do have any questions, I would ask that you please hold them till the end. Sometimes during the presentation, some of your questions might get answered later on, a few slides down. But yeah, when we're done here, we can have an open discussion and answer any questions that you have. And I'm going to go ahead and turn my video off just for bandwidth's sake and keeping the presentation clean. So thank you all, and let's get started. Okay, so this is the grant application workshop for the Arizona Water Protection Fund fiscal year 2025 grant cycle. Again, my name is Ruben Teran. I'm the executive director of the program. And the purpose of this program is a competitive state program that provides funding for projects that will protect water quality and quantity, with the main purpose to maintain, enhance, and restore river and riparian resources, including projects that benefit fish and wildlife that are dependent on these resources. Some of the overall program objectives. The program does want to provide measurable benefits to water resources through broad-based local support. We do like to provide positive examples for other similar type projects. We'd like to advance the field of water conservation and riparian restoration in Arizona, and also want to help increase the public awareness and function of value of riparian resources in Arizona as well. Let me do something here. Let's see a little bit better there. Okay. So a couple fundamental principles of the program. We do like the project should reflect a bottom-up rather than a top-down solution to river and riparian restoration issues. And the Water Protection Fund does support locally acceptable solutions, again, coming from you, the applicants for the project, since you know the lands you work with and lands you manage the best. Again, having you guys come and provide those resources and projects to the commission, to the program for funding, rather than have the state dictate any specific types of projects, measures, priorities, or areas of concern. And the Water Protection Fund's commission priority is to fund high quality on the ground solutions. And that being said, a majority of the funds that are allocated within the program are for capital projects, which include mostly the on the ground work rather than research or data collection, things like that. And I did mention the commission briefly. I have a slide here dedicated to the commission that oversees the program, and I'll explain that a little bit more as we go. So some project guidelines. So the program, if you do submit an application, we hope that you would demonstrate direct benefits to perennial and intermittent streams, rivers or streams here in Arizona. We support projects that restore and protect native riparian vegetation and habitat, projects that restore proper hydrologic conditions or functions. Some examples of these might be erosion control structures, check dams, projects that restore proper stream geomorphology or channel characteristics, projects that restore wetlands or backwaters, and projects that improve watershed conditions using forest and or near stream restoration treatments that improve water quality or increase water quantity. And some examples of this might be the use of prescribed fire, forest thinning projects, brush control, etc. As I mentioned earlier, we do support projects that restore habitat needs for fish and wildlife that are dependent on riparian resources, and also look to fund projects that decrease the negative impacts of non-native species to riparian areas. For example, taking out native invasive salt cedar, projects like that. So I did mention the funding categories earlier, capital projects. I'll go into a little bit more detail on this. So capital projects, in our definition at least, are on-the-ground measures that ultimately result in downstream benefits that will maintain and enhance river and riparian resources. Again, projects that benefit fish and wildlife. Also, the acquisition of Central Arizona water, project water or effluent to restore or maintain river and riparian resources would also be considered a capital project. And also, we do feasibility of design studies, which is essentially if you, the applicant, would come forward wanting to investigate the feasibility of implementing a project down in the future. Again, we have funded several of these projects where folks will go out and collect the data and, at the end of the day, come up with a budget and an actual restoration plan. Again, some caveats on that is that you need to be investigating the feasibility of implementing a specific capital project, and the applicant also has to have control and tenure of the project area. Another funding category we are offering is research. This is innovative research and data collection efforts which are related to the goals and purpose of the Water Protection Fund, as I mentioned earlier. One thing to note is that projects under this category are limited to 5% of any funds that we receive in any fiscal year. And I'll go into the funding amount for that one a little bit later on in the presentation. And the Water Protection Fund can support water conservation projects, which would include measures that develop, promote, or implement programs designed to conserve water, again, related to the purposes of the fund, river and riparian restoration. However, those projects must be located outside of all the Arizona Department of Water Resources active management areas. So touch on eligibility here. So any person, organization, local, state, tribal agency, or political subdivision of Arizona may submit a request for funding from the Water Protection Fund. One thing to note is that federal agencies are not eligible to receive funding. However, funding can be awarded and implemented to projects on federal lands. So I know we have in the past we had some, like forest supporting organizations or folks that are associated with the National Park Service or something, not the Park Service themselves, but other organizations that apply for funding and we're able to do the work on those federal lands. So if you are a federal agency, just keep that in mind if you might have a partner to be the applicant if you did want funding for something on federal land. Some eligibility requirements we have here. The applicants must have the legal and physical access and the authority to implement the project, whether it's on private land, county lands, federal lands, etc. The project must provide appropriate documentation that any water to be used in the project is legally and physically available for the stated purpose of the project. As part of the application, you must demonstrate that vital partnerships, funding, site access, etc., have been committed at the time of the application, or if you don't have those specific agreements or something with the application, at least letters of support from the participating landowner, land management agency, or entity included in the application, and then with a plan to obtain these elements prior to, if your project gets selected, have those in place prior to a grant award contract being issued. One thing to keep in mind also is that the administrative costs, these are typically overhead administrative costs, must be limited to 5% of the total implementation funds requested. We understand that, overhead costs are can be a lot more than that, just with the cost of business doing things. But per statute, we're limited to only be able to reimburse 5% overhead costs for any of our grants and expenditures that we make. Okay, some ineligible applications, and this is in accordance with state statutes. The Water Protection Fund dollars cannot be used to purchase real property or conservation easements. We cannot fund projects outside of the state of Arizona. We cannot support any project that includes the planting of mesquite, tamarisk, or salt cedar, or other non-native high water use trees that consume water to a degree that is detrimental to conservation efforts. We cannot support projects or remedial actions under the Comprehensive Response Compensation and Liability Act, CERCLA, or the Water Quality Assurance Revolving Fund. As I mentioned earlier, research projects with funding requests in excess of 5% of the total funds received for fiscal year 2025. So any research projects funding we have available is limited to about $37,500 at this time. And again, we cannot fund water conservation projects or programs within a designated Arizona Department of Water Resources active management area. So other ineligible applications, and these are in accordance with a commission policy. We cannot support or fund projects that are located in areas with elevated levels of environmental contamination. We can't support projects that were required as a result of a legal action by a regulatory agency or projects designed to meet wastewater treatment requirements. However, please note that proposed projects that create or sustain riparian habitat using treated effluent or recycled water that already meets or exceeds relevant state or federal standards may be considered, as long as the project meets the requirements of our statutory goal, again, of maintaining, restoring, and directly benefiting river and riparian resources or associated wildlife resources. A few more here: ineligible applications per commission policy. Generally, the commission does not fund large-scale facility or basin groundwater or recharge or recovery projects. However, passive recharge projects such as check dams, erosion control structures, brush control, etc., are eligible. This is just a bit of an updated definition. If you've been part of the program in the past, there was some confusion about the groundwater recharge types of projects. So the commission just wanted to clarify that, again, smaller check dams, one rock structures, small in-channel things are eligible for funding, but not the larger groundwater recharge or recovery projects. And again, tying back to a point about having control of the area, your project area, projects failing to document evidence of control or tenure of the land or evidence of physical and legal availability of water are ineligible for funding. So now I'll just touch briefly on the Water Protection Fund Commission. It is a 13-member commission. I'm not going to go through all the details in the slide, but you can see some of the appointing authorities include the governor, Senate President, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Intertribal Council of Arizona. Again, these are our members that oversee the policy and direction of the program. We do abide by the open meeting law, so all meetings that we have, all funding decisions, things like that are made in open public meetings. And we've got, you can see the members affiliation. Yeah, we got a representative from Central Arizona Project, the Natural Resource Conservation Districts. We've got 5 or so members represented there: Salt River Project, City of Scottsdale. And then we also have non-voting ex officio members of the commission, which include the director of the Department of Water Resources, the executive deputy commissioner from State Land Department, and Senator Kerr and Representative David Cook. Okay, so I just wanted to touch base on a couple commission priorities for the program overall. The commission really supports projects that directly benefit perennial or intermittent rivers or streams, or that otherwise increase the supply of water. Projects that provide matching monies or assets of comparable value, including in-kind contributions from other sources. projects that provide for the continued maintenance of the portion of the river and stream and associated riparian habitat that are enhanced by the project, and projects that include broad-based local involvement. So again, these priorities are put in statute, directing the commission to give a little bit more priority to projects that can have these types of elements within the application and their project overall. So these are other commission priorities, again, from our policies and procedures and listed in our application manual. Projects that enhance or maintain river, stream, and riparian resources in headwater streams and watersheds that will provide direct improvements to water quality and or increase water quantity. Projects that address degraded watershed health conditions or impacts to perennial streams through the implementation of scientifically based restoration projects. And if for the purpose of water conservation projects or the applicant estimates the water increase and or savings and how that estimate was determined. So I will go over the grant application content requirements. So these are just some important notes for this fiscal year funding cycle. Applications are only being accepted via the eCivis grant management software system. Direct link it has been provided on the water protection website. I've listed it here, and I'm going to go to that here shortly as well. And hard copies of the applications are no longer accepted. Please note that a user account will be need to be created in eCivis to apply for this funding opportunity. An eCivis application user's guide is attached to Appendix B of the grant application manual, so hopefully you folks have seen that. If not, again, I can direct you to our website where you can download it. And with this application submittal process, the application documents will need to be developed electronically or converted into an electronic format, for example, scanned, and uploaded into the eCivis application portal. On the grant application manual on page 12, there's a list of all the required documents that will need to be uploaded into the system. And if anyone has applied prior to, I just wanted to let you know that all eCivis form fields are now uploadable fields. In prior application cycles, we did have the places where people could type in, paragraph or descriptions on certain parts of the application, but right now, moving forward, we're going to be using all just upload fields. So again, you could take your Word documents, Excel documents, photos, and things like that, and just upload those directly into the system. So as part of the application process, the program does have several forms you can see here: the application cover page, the executive summary template, a project overview template, location environmental contaminant information template, scope of work, and budget templates, which are both in Word and Excel format. And the State Historic Preservation Office review form are available on our website. They're available on the eCivis solicitation page as well. But one thing to note is that these forms do not constitute the entire application package. And again, I would refer you to page 12 of the application manuals to see all the different contents that are required. A few more notes. The application portal will allow applicants to submit all information in the sequence provided in the contents overview on page 12. And the grant application cover page and the State Historic Preservation Office forms must be signed by a legally authorized person and uploaded into eCivis. And the application deadline for our funding opportunity is Friday, August 30th at 11:59 p.m., which at that time the portal will close to accepting any further applications. And it is open now, just so you are aware. And if anybody here on this workshop has not used the eCivis management system, I was going to be giving a quick demonstration following the presentation and questions. If anyone wants to stick around, I can show you what it's going to look like when you log in, where the link is, and answer any questions you have about getting into the to the portal itself. If you want to stick around, you're more than welcome. Okay, touch base on the application evaluation process. So staff will initially review your application for completeness and consistency with state statutes and commission policies, and those are listed on page 5 and 6. Those initial reviews. Then staff will also review your application according to the evaluation criteria outlined in the grant application manual. Those criteria are listed on pages 8 through 10. Depending on the scope of work of the project and what folks might be proposing, we do occasionally request outside review by other state or federal agencies and or interested local governments as necessary. And each of the Water Protection Fund commissioners does receive a copy of the application again, and they have their own, as a publicly appointed member, they have their own thoughts and ideas about projects that they like. So again, staff does provide them with their technical review based on the criteria, but the commission also has the ability to review and include whatever criteria they may have individually as reviewer of that application. So here's an overview of the capital and water conservation projects. Again, so these are the big topics I'll be looking for when I review the application. Does it demonstrate that it will enhance or maintain or restore river, stream, and riparian resources? Will the project benefit fish and wildlife resources? Is the project feasible to implement? Is there a monitoring component included with it? And if so, what are the objectives in there? And some other considerations, which would be things looking at if there's any cost share dollars involved, if there's any public support, letters of support from members of the community for your project. Again, and all these are the big headings, but if you look in the application manual, there's a few more bullet points specifically outlining details on what we would be looking at, or staff would be looking at when reviewing your application under this category. For research projects, it's a little bit different. Again, research, is it applicable to the stated program goals? Does the application demonstrate the use of the scientific method, again, to collect your data and research? Does the proposal include some form of publication as a deliverable and commitment to some form of public presentation? Again, if we're collecting data, are you planning to present that to an academic group, to a local watershed conservation group, for example? The feasibility, again, there's some more criteria about the feasibility of your project. Are the results translatable? So again, can somebody build on this research in the future? Is this helping to answer other questions that would support other types of projects, either in the area or in the state? And again, other considerations, for example, broad-based local support, any cost share dollars, if you have any for the program, would be evaluated as well. It's just some general information for applicants moving forward. So as part of the application process and pre-grant award, please note that there can be no scope of work changes allowed during the application process. So whatever is submitted by the deadline date, that is a scope of work that the commission will consider. If there are any major changes to the scope of work or something changes, there's a potential that your application will no longer be considered. But just keep that in mind when you're finalizing up your application. As part of the application process, the applicants do have the option to present to the commission up to 20 minutes. Again, this is not mandatory, but again, as I said, we do have our public meetings. Again, the commission does invite all applicants to provide an overview of their presentation, kind of a last time to kind of sell your project to the commission, maybe answer any questions they might have that weren't addressed either in the application or staff review. There was some comments or something we had. It just gives the applicants the opportunity to have that face-to-face time with the commission and present their application. Again, it's not required, but highly recommended if you're interested in doing that. Post grant award, please note that grant award notification does not authorize immediate expenditure of funds. Since the state is prohibited from giving out gifts, All grants and contracts are done through a grant award contract agreement, and payments are made on a actual cost reimbursement. So again, you as the applicant, as the grantee, would, to ensure you have a cash flow to go, purchase any materials, things like that. If you're going to be hiring staff or something to do work on the project, you would, go and make those costs up front and then submit a reimbursement request for those, and we would reimburse you for eligible expenditures on that. Again, just keep note that the commission is not liable for any cost or work prior to a fully executed contract/agreement. And another thing, for cash flow purposes, know that there is an option for a 20% advance of your grant award up not to exceed $50,000. And there is a checkbox on the application cover page that you can check if you are intending to potentially request a grant advance. So if that was the case, when the application is signed, you'd be able to submit a fund request for up to the 20% of whatever your grant award is, and we'd cut you a check for that amount. So again, you'd have that to kind of seed money to get things started. But after that advance is expended, please note that the grant automatically reverts back to a reimbursable cost basis. And one thing I would, if you do have legal staff or any of your contract managers, the contracts contains general provisions, and these are kind of like statewide, well, at least for the Department of Water Resources, just general provisions that we have as part of our grant award contracts, and these are located in the grant application manual on page 33. So I would suggest that you have your authorized contract staff review those just to make sure that you are able to agree to the general provisions of our grant award contracts. A few more notes here. Contracts and agreements may extend up to 5 years, again, depending on the scope of your project. Some projects are completed in 2. We do understand that environmental, when you're working out in the natural environment, things happen, floods happen, fires happen. You've had a project, for example, where a fire came and shut down access to the project area for about 1.5 years. So again, we put things on hold. The commission, is aware that things like that do happen. Again, so we have up to 5 years from the grant award to implement your project. So again, if kind of feeding into the next statement, if there was something happened that we had to extend the due date of your contract for whatever reason, we'd have to get those approved by the commission first. But again, we do have up to 5 years to implement the project. There is a contract provision in there referring to long-term operation maintenance of the project. It's noted as 20 years. So just wanted to let you know that the commission would like to see, our investments and our dollars, and the commitment from the applicant, the grantees, that they do have, the commitment to maintain whatever projects or improvements were made on there for up to 20 years. The provisions also have a statement in there of required site access for inspection and evaluation by staff or the commission. As with all grant and funding opportunities, we do request that you keep an adequate accounting practices, and record keeping is extremely necessary for our work here. And we do require the submittal of all data, the results, and research gained from all projects. And as a final closeout of your project, pretty much close when the final report would be due, we do or would like a final presentation made to the commission. Again, it's like another 15 to 20 minute presentation. After everything is said and done, you can kind of showcase the work that you were able to complete, and again, just give the commission an update on what you accomplished through your project. Okay, running to the schedule here. So here's our timeline for this year. I'll go through these real quick. So the grant application is available. It's on our on the Water Protection Fund website. I'll show you how to find that here if you haven't found it already. We are on the second bullet here, the application workshop. So from July through August, staff is going to be available for pre-application consultations. So again, if you have a draft of your application, a draft of your scope of work, or anything that you'd like for us to review and provide feedback or comments, we're really willing to help you out on that. Just contact me. We could set something up. It's usually helpful. We can get at least a week or a few days to review whatever you'd like us to review, if your full application or whatever. And we can set up either a virtual call or a phone call to go over that and provide any feedback that we can. And that'll be pretty much up to the deadline date, so anytime between now and August 30th. The online application portal submittal, I had it on my schedule to get it open by Friday. It is open right now, and like I said, I'm going to dive in there after we're done if somebody wants to see what it looks like and what it looks like and how to access it. As I mentioned previously, August 30th is a final date to submit the applications. As part of our application review process, we do have a 45-day public comment period that will run from September 17th to November 1st. And following that, my staff review will be going out to the applicants and to the commission for their consideration no later than November 8th. Again, as I mentioned previously, the applicant presentation to the commission, that would be taking place from November 13th or 14th. We usually schedule in 2 days. We never really know how many applications we're going to receive. So it's usually just 1 day, but on years that we've had many applications, we've gone 2 days, but it'll probably be just the 13th, depending on the number we have this year. As part of the application review process, if the commission during that review, if there were anything else that the commission didn't get to ask that day, they have the opportunity to submit a written question to the applicant through staff. Again, if there's a clarifying question they didn't have a chance to ask, and then we would request that response back from the applicants to provide to the commission prior to the November 19th meeting. So that November 19th and 20th is when the commission would be having their open meeting to select grants for awards. Once it's all said and done, staff will be notifying the applicants of the funding status in December, and then staff will start writing contracts in December and January of 25. Okay, that's all I had to present at this time. I'm open for any questions. I don't know if there's a hand raising feature. Let me see if I can stop sharing so I can see you all. Okay, are there any questions from anyone?
Bill Dunn has his hand raised.
Okay, Mr. Dunn, is that what I heard? You can take yourself off mute if you're on mute. I can't hear anyone right now. Okay. Any other questions? I'm not hearing anyone speak. Okay, Lizette, there's no other hands raised that you can see?
Sorry, I sent the chat just in case he can't hear us for some reason.
Oh, okay, let me see that.
I don't see any other hands raised.
Okay, Mr. Dunn, did you have a question by chance? No, I can't hear you. There's a chat feature. If you want to just type it in the chat, I can try to reach out to you that way. Okay, while he's doing that, are folks interested in seeing the eCivis link? I just get a verbal from someone if anyone wants to see that.
I'm interested, Ruben.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share the website here. Hold on. Okay, Mr. Dunn's question did come in, so before I share, I'll answer that. It said it was, how much funding do you have for this year? That's a great question. On the solicitation part of the portal that we'll see here, we did get an appropriation of $750,000 for fiscal year 2025. However, just to let you know that depending the funding that's going to be available for actual grants, the commission usually figures all that out right before grant awards are made. I can tell you based on the closeout of this last fiscal year, as far as unobligated funding balances projected for the end or for fiscal year 2025, we had about $610,000 of unobligated funding. So I'm tentatively seeing about between about $600,000 available for the grant cycle this year. So hopefully that answers your question. Okay, I am showing the Water Protection Fund website. Can you see it?
Yes, we can see it.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. I can't see the presenter screen anymore. Okay. So Water Protection Fund website is azwpf.gov. So again, just go there. The whole link's there. It's all in the application manual. But if you go to on this top row here, the grant information, we have a grant cycle page, FY 2025 grant cycle. So I stated earlier, the application manual is downloadable right here. We did put out a press release on this earlier as well. This link right here is the eCivis grant application portal link. That'll take you to the hub here. We'll go there in a second. But again, as I mentioned earlier, here's the other forms that we have available, templates that you can download and fill out here. And again, just another snapshot of our schedule. If you did want to revisit this workshop presentation, again, it is being recorded. I'm going to go ahead and post it here when it's all done, right under the workshop link here. For anyone that wasn't able to make it today, you could share it with them, but it'll be here for other folks to view if necessary. Okay, so yeah, if you wanted to come and apply for this funding opportunity, so you go and click on this link here. So this takes you to the eCivis through the governor's office of through the governor's office. They have the whole website for the eCivis and all the statewide funding opportunities. But here's what our opportunity would look like. Get an overview of the application dates, the name of it, eligible applicants. Again, everyone is pretty much eligible to apply. There's notes on the financial available. Again, I put $750,000 because this is what the amount that we did get awarded or appropriated through the legislature this year. So just so you're aware, as far as award amounts, there is no minimum or maximum amount that you can apply for. So again, whatever you think it's going to take to, whatever it's going to cost to implement your project, you're able to apply for that amount. There can be multiple applications for a single applicant. So let's say you had two different projects that you wanted to get considered as an applicant. You have the ability to submit multiple applications. And with Water Protection Fund funding, just note that matching funds or in-kind funds are not required as part of our program. Again, I stated during the workshop or the presentation, the commission, although they are not required to apply, the commission tends to give a little bit more priority to folks that are able to do that. But please note that it is not required, and there have been many grants that have been awarded that weren't able to have any matching or cost share dollars. So just to keep that in mind, it's not required. If at any time when you're if you have any problems logging into this later on this week or next week, if you do apply, my contact information is here, so please reach out to me and I'll help get you set up if you're having problems accessing the system or questions about how to upload something or access the database, the portal itself. And again, just for your reference here, those forms that are again on our website as well, other downloadable forms to fill out. Okay, so this is what the solicitation will look like. When you're ready, you're going to hit the apply button, and it'll, if you're an existing user, again, you can put in your existing login information. And if you have never used the eCivis portal, please click on this green create an account button, and it'll help you set up your account on there. So when you do apply, you're going to want to hit the portal login. The Grant Network login is for admin folks with the state that kind of help manage the solicitations and pull everything together. But the portal login is the one that we'll be using today. So when you come in here, again, your account is created. I started to create a test application. So normally you wouldn't see this FY25 one here, but you would want to create a new application. And when you click on that, it's going to ask you to set up your application profile, which would be your name. Because I already did it, I can't show you that, but it'll have your name, your organization, email, contact, phone number. There's only a few required fields in there, so you don't have to fill everything out. But once that profile is created, then it'll bring you to this page where you can actually start application. So I'm going to go ahead and click here. So I want to apply for this one. And I'm not sure why it always does this, but every time you want to apply for something new, it always asks you to log in again, even though you're already logged into your system here. But we're going to go ahead and log in with your credentials again to sign you into this applications account. Again, we're going to do the portal login. Okay, and then you start here and it says, please click the open button to begin. So you're gonna open this up. It'll ask you to verify your profile. Again, name, title, organization, and you can save it. Okay, that was what I wanted. We didn't take me, that was odd, sorry about that. Okay, so you create your profile. Okay, so once you create your profile, like I just didn't click the, and you can always come back and edit it later at another time, but you have to create your profile. So at that point, you have the status bar where you can actually start inputting information. Status bar is blue, the action required. Red, there's an error, and the status bar will stay gray until your submission is completed. So you can click on your application. Open it up. So again, here's what it would look like as far as getting to the application. So they're all just, again, just uploadable fields. You'll need the name, your organization name, the application cover page. Again, which you do have a template, you can select that file and upload it. You can save it, and this system accepts any file type. Again, so if it's a PDF, if it's a Excel document, a Word document, you can use all those. So again, these are all the different parts of the application: the executive summary, project overview. The fields that have the star are required. So again, if those fields are not filled in, it won't let you submit the application. So just be aware when you're going through these. With some of these, I did allow extra, kind of maybe the same name, but just something that's not required. So again, if you have like a map that you submitted, but you might have a couple other maps or picture that you want to upload, I've left a couple, extra uploadable fields that you can do that. And I do have notes, help notes here. So if you have many maps to submit, you may want to consider combining them into a single file, since the system only allows one file to be uploaded per line here. So we've got schematic maps, ownership maps, the State Historic Preservation Office forms. Again, those are the downloadable forms that we have to fill out. You can upload it then. If there's supplementary information, for example, maybe an archaeological report that was part of your project area that you want to include, again, these extra fields, they're not required, but again, if you need extra space to upload information, I did provide that there. Listing of key personnel. Again, if you have any other documents to upload, site photographs, project implementation plans. If there's any existing plans or reports, these could be, management reports for your organization, management plans, for example, anything related to the project's supplemental information you want to share with the commission about your project or something that's related to. Again, so there's some extra uploadable fields. We do need at least one in there. And I guess for anything, if you didn't have any existing reports, you can just go into a Word document and type, please note that there are no other supporting information available for this project, and upload something into the field. Like I said, anything that has a red asterisk, it has to have something in it. So again, we can just put up not applicable for this section or something, just so we know that at least you've addressed it and there's something on file for that. If you have any community letters of community support, put them in. Again, if you don't have any, just say, we don't have any letters of support for this application, just so you have something to fill out in that field there. If you have anything regarding matching funds, cost share funds, project site access or permission to conduct the work, your evidence of control and tenure of land, whether it's your land lease, it's a letter of access, for example, if you don't own the land. If there's any supporting information or other information you need to apply, there's an extra space for that. If you're going to be using water on your project, for example, if it's a groundwater well, surface water right or something like that, you can include that in there. And again, another extra space if you have something else to supplement it. And down at the bottom, I did leave several just blank fields for any additional project information. So if there's just something that didn't fit up here, you didn't have enough room for another picture or another map or something, just label it here, obviously, when you upload your file, and include it there. But I did leave some extra space for more information if we needed it. Okay, yeah, so that being said, again, if something's filled out, it'll let you know. I won't let you move forward with the submission process until everything's there. So again, these are just the downloadable forms that I had, on my drive here. But if I wanted just to upload, it's simple. You just click on the application cover page form that you wanted to upload. Once it's all filled out, it's uploading the file, and there it is. If you need to change it or make any edits, you can click this little delete trash button and then go back and select another file to upload. So as you go down through the application process, down here you can save drafts. So if you want to work on something a day and come back a couple days later, just save your draft. And again, it will not, if you try to mark complete, it'll probably turn red because you don't have the required fields all complete. But whenever all those are all done, it'll let you mark it as complete, and there'll be a little submit button at the end of, when everything's all filled out. But again, so you can always just log into your account, save the draft, and come back another day and work on it. If you're waiting for other folks to provide up information, and just coordinate on those until you have your whole application process complete. And yeah, when you complete all the required steps, just the submit button will turn up here at the bottom of the page. That'll mark it there, and then you can submit it. And at the time you're done submitting your application, and again, I'm going to save that draft and go ahead and log out. But that's what it'll look like once you're in the system. Again, if you have all your Word documents or PDF files or pictures all ready to go, again, it's just as easy just selecting the file, finding it, and just uploading it once it's all done, and it'll be in there. Okay. Save your draft, and then you log out and come back another day and finish it up. Okay, are you guys still there?
Yes. Thank you for that demonstration, Ruben.
You're muted, Ruben.
I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, I'm glad you guys were able to see that. I wasn't, I could see it on my screen, but I wasn't sure it was actually going up on the screen there. Okay, if there's only a few of us left, it looks like. Are there any other questions from anyone? I'm happy to stay here and chat with anybody if you have any questions, or if you want to reach out to me via email or telephone. I'm happy to chat with you that way. If you have something, an idea you've come up with, or something you have concerns about. There's a question: when to be uploading today's presentation? It takes like a day or so. We got to get it converted, I think, to a YouTube video. So we'll work with our communications folks after this recording. It takes about a day for it to download into our system, and then we'll get that converted. So I figure hopefully by Friday we can have this presentation up on the Water Protection Fund website for you guys. All right. I didn't have anything else to share. Like I said, I'm here to answer any questions, or anybody wants to reach out offline, I'm happy to talk to you then too. So thank you all for your time. I appreciate your attendance, and yeah, give us a call if you have any questions. Thank you.